The movie begins with Milok, a huge and dangerous prisoner, knocking out another inmate in the prison yard. When he refuses to calm down, the guards rush in and restrain him. Inside a cell, prisoner number 451 sits quietly reading a book. Even though he looks calm, everyone fears him because he's known for killing his cellmates without mercy, once even pulling out a prisoner's teeth with pliers. The story then moves to a factory in Russia, where Kyle LeBlanc, an American worker, is talking to his wife Gray LeBlanc on the phone. Gray asks him to go on vacation with her, but Kyle says he's too busy with work. While Gray is preparing dinner at home, a stranger named Sergio Kovic watches her from outside. Suddenly, he breaks in and attacks her. Gray tries to fight back, but Sergio pulls out a knife and kills her. Hearing his wife's screams, Kyle rushes home. He finds her covered in blood and lying unconscious. Sergio tries to hit him with a vase, but Kyle blocks the attack and chases him. The two fight on a bus, where Sergio tries to stab Kyle, but they both fall into the street. Sergio escapes, and the police take the injured Kyle into custody. At the trial, Sergio is freed because his rich family bribes the judge. Angry and heartbroken, Kyle grabs a police gun and shoots Sergio in the courtroom. Because of this, Kyle is sentenced to life in prison without parole and sent to Krvavy prison, the toughest prison in Russia. That was the last day Kyle LeBlanc lived as a free man. This is in hell. Upon arrival, Kyle and the other new prisoners are introduced to the ruthless warden, General Khrushchev, who is known for shooting escapees on sight. Among the newcomers is Billy, a 21-year-old American. All inmates must surrender their valuables, including Kyle's wedding ring. Kyle initially refuses but is beaten and forced to comply. Later, officers cut Billy's long hair during inspection. That night, new prisoners without assigned cells are forced to sleep together in one room. Kyle notices a guard wearing his wedding ring and feels a surge of anger but holds back. He manages to secretly keep a photo of Gray. After everyone falls asleep, Kyle wakes to hear guards taking Billy away, selling him to a senior inmate named Andre, known for exploiting young men. The next day, all prisoners head to the bathroom. Kyle, still new to prison life, watches in confusion and resignation. His attention sharpens when he sees Andre leaving his cell, leaving Billy battered and bruised. Recognizing Andre's mocking face, Kyle lashes out and strikes him. As a result, Kyle is thrown into a filthy isolation cell, where he refuses the food offered by the guards. Days of starvation leave Kyle weak and unstable. He attempts something desperate with his uniform but fails. Frustrated, he pounds his head against the wall, which draws the attention of a prisoner in the next cell. The prisoner knocks on the wall, urging him to stop. Then, a butterfly slips through a broken window into Kyle's cell, reminding him of Gray's plea never to harm small creatures. The butterfly lands gently on his food plate, sparking a flicker of hope. Thinking of Gray, Kyle begins to eat again. After 5 days alone, Kyle is moved into a cell with prisoner 451, a man known for killing his cellmates. The guards warn Kyle to be careful, but he stays quiet and avoids trouble. The next day, Kyle's brother-in-law visits and tells him that Gray has been buried. He also gives Kyle some money to help him survive in prison. Kyle and other inmates are forced to work hard outside with no pay, while the guards take all the profits. During a break, Kyle meets Billy and Malachi, a prisoner in a wheelchair who sells goods secretly. Malachi warns Kyle that 451 is dangerous and tells him to act before it's too late. That night, Kyle dreams of Gray and wakes up screaming. Annoyed, 451 covers his mouth and nose until he calms down. Later, while eating with Billy and Malachi, Kyle is bullied by Andre, a violent inmate who spits on his food. Kyle avoids fighting, but soon the brutal prison fights called Sparka begin. Billy tries to defend himself with a weapon he made from a toothbrush, but Andre catches him and beats him badly. The next day, Kyle is attacked again and sent to isolation. There, he communicates with another prisoner through wall taps. It's Milok, the man from earlier who was punished for fighting. When Kyle returns to his cell, Andre mocks him again. Kyle stays calm at first, but during lunch, Andre pushes him too far. Kyle finally fights back and punches him, which gets him sent back to isolation. At the same time, a guard's vehicle explodes from a landmine near the work field, distracting the guards. Billy and other prisoners try to escape but are caught and punished harshly, sold to inmates with cruel intentions. Meanwhile, Kyle begins physical training to build strength and prepares to enter Sparka to face Andre. The fight is tough at first, but when Kyle loses control, He bites Andrei's neck until Andrei dies. The crowd is stunned as Kyle shows signs of losing himself. Prison officials exploit Kyle, using him to generate profits from bets. Other prisoners pity Kyle, seeing him as a tool for the guards. Even 451 warns Kyle not to lose himself or become a pawn. On Russia's Independence Day, Billy attempts an escape. Malachi unexpectedly gives him a free exit key, although he usually charges dearly. Before leaving, Billy says goodbye to Kyle. Meanwhile, a new prisoner named Valya arrives at Krvavy, ready to fight Kyle in Sparka. That night, while prisoners celebrate Independence Day at dinner, Billy slips away quietly. However, Malachi betrays Billy by tipping off the guards in exchange for special medicine. From a distance, 451 watches Malachi's betrayal unfold. Billy's escape plan fails, and he becomes the prize for Valya's Sparka fight. After Valya wins, he confronts Billy, who resists until the next day, when Billy is found dying from Valya's beating. When Kyle visits him, Billy's last words urge Kyle not to lose himself. Sometime later, the match between Valya and Kyle takes place. Kyle refuses to fight, causing the prison officials to lose their bets. In response, they punish him by tying him up in the middle of the yard. Meanwhile, 451 meets Malachi, who tries to offer him kerosene. Unexpectedly, 451 pours the kerosene on Malachi instead. Despite Malachi's desperate pleas, 451 sets him on fire, enraged by Malachi's betrayal of Billy. Unlike Kyle, who endures days hanging in the yard under harsh conditions, the other prisoners begin to sympathize with him for standing up to the officials. Even Andrei's gang, once hostile toward Kyle, now makes peace with him and refuses to participate in Sparka fights. Warden Khrushchev grows alarmed by the unrest and addresses all the prisoners, declaring that he will force Kyle to fight again, this time against Milok. During the brutal fight, Kyle struggles until he suddenly realizes who Milok really is. He knocks on the cell wall, signaling to Milok, who recognizes him as his friend from isolation. The revelation shocks everyone. Fearing his plan is failing, a prison guard shoots and kills Milok. Chaos erupts as prisoners break down cell doors and riot. Amid the turmoil, Kyle and 451 are seen talking. 451 explains that he spared Kyle because Kyle doesn't talk much like the others. He promises to help Kyle escape if Kyle can deliver evidence of Krvavy officials' crimes to the authorities. Inside the prison, guards violently suppress the riot, beating prisoners who resist. The next morning, all prisoners are gathered in the yard, some lying unconscious. 451 breaks through a cell wall, showing Kyle the evidence against the officials. He tells Kyle that he can leave after fighting Valya. The plan is to make Kyle appear useless so that he will be executed regardless of the fight's outcome. This will give him a chance to escape with the proof against Khrushchev and his men. Later, the fight between Kyle and Valya begins. Both men fight hard, but Kyle wins after breaking Valya's arm. Angry and desperate, Valya tries to stab Kyle with a hidden knife, but he misses and ends up stabbing his own boss instead. Kyle takes the chance to hit Valya one last time, getting revenge for what he did to Billy. Just like 451 said, after the fight, 2 guards take Kyle to the parking lot to be killed. Before they can do it, 451 shows up and helps him fight back. Kyle knocks one guard down and traps him under a car by lowering the jack. 451 then gives Kyle all the proof of the crimes done by Khrushchev and his men, telling him to show it to the authorities. To escape, Kyle puts on a guard's uniform and drives out in a prison car. The gate guard thinks he's an officer and lets him go without checking. Meanwhile, 451 goes to Khrushchev's office. Angry at how cruel the general has been, 451 attacks him with pliers and pulls out his teeth. When the other guards arrive, they find Khrushchev dead and 451 calmly sitting on the sofa. In the last scenes, Kyle is finally free. He prepares to give the evidence to the police, and 3 months later, Krvavy prison is shut down for good. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next video.